So yesterday was payday, so naturally I got paid, and I am going to budget my paycheck using the Budget Mom's Paycheck Budget Tracker. So let's get into it. If you are new here, my name is Jen. I'm 47 years old, and I am navigating a debt payoff plan as well as managing my expenses that were originally meant for 2 high income salaries. I am now paying on 1. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, I am somewhat recently separated or divorced, and I am finally coming to terms that I need to handle these expenses on my own as well as getting my debt paid off. I am very new at budgeting. This is only my first month of actually putting together somewhat of a budget, actually paying attention to how much money is coming in and what I'm spending my money on. So this is very new, very much a work in progress. So I got the Paycheck Budget Tracker by the Budget Mom. I did buy the electronic versions of the worksheets, and I'm gonna use that for the next few months until I know exactly how I feel about this method. I'm going to go over the calendar spread that I put together, which lists all my paydays, as well as all the bills that are due. And then I will go over the budget tracker that has all the exact numbers of what I need to pay for this pay period. I am still not 100% sure I know exactly what I'm doing, but I think I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with it and I'm starting to understand it. It's taken me multiple tries to get this worksheet filled out. Like, I'm not even lying. These are all the messed up ones that I have. Like, I messed these up. They're all garbage now. But writing them down multiple times, I have now memorized pretty much my expenses for the next 2 weeks. That's the one thing that I do like about electronic, is that it's very easy to move numbers around, to change amounts, and if you make a mistake, you can just delete it and you don't have all this paper that you're wasting. So I'm still just trying to figure out what works best with me. I might end up with like a mix of methods, but it's gonna take a lot of trial and error, and yeah, so we're gonna start here. So I am gonna go over the one that has the least amount of mistakes. I didn't total some of the numbers because I'm just not really sure what to do with that, but I will go over them. And at the end, after going through those worksheets, I will mention the things that I am still questioning, and we'll take it from there. This is the calendar that I filled out. I downloaded this. It's a 2-page spread. I just feel it's easier for me to have more space to write. I have my paydays listed here. I have in all the days my fixed expenses and credit card payments and when they are due. I just think for me, eventually I want to put it in a binder so that way it can be open. I just haven't bought one yet. The only thing I've bought so far, because I don't want to spend a lot of money, is I bought the electronic templates and I bought some pens, these colorful pens, because I just wanted to. I don't know. I just thought it would make the experience a little bit more enjoyable for me, and I need that in my life right now. So this is the calendar that I filled out, and then I did the budget tracker. This is the budget tracker all filled out, and then I will try and post it. Like, I will have it here on the screen so that you can see it a little bit clearer, but right now I'm just going to read what I have on here and you'll be able to follow along on the screen. And then, like I said, at the end, I will go over the things that I didn't fill out and explain why, because I'm probably still confused on it. This paycheck tracker is for October 22nd through November 4th, because I do get paid from my full-time job again on November 5th. And up at the top in pink, I have the amount of money that I had in my checking account prior to getting paid on the 22nd. So that amount is $3,170.18. I understand that I shouldn't probably just have money floating around in my checking account. This should be put in like an emergency fund or in savings. It's a real problem that I have that I will talk about later, but having money always in my account up until now has just made me feel more comfortable. That's the amount that I had. Then I got paid on the 22nd. My paycheck was supposed to be $3,125.01. It ended up being a little bit more than that because I had bought donuts for our team, and that was like $96. And my company then reimbursed me. That was included in this paycheck. originally I paid for those donuts out of my checking account. So that money's just going right back to where it came from. However, I filled out this worksheet mostly before I saw the actual amount that I was getting on my check. So I am just going to use the numbers that I have in the budget column versus the actual, even though it's a little bit more. Then I listed my shipped payments. I haven't gotten paid yet. I will get paid on the 26th of October and the 4th of November. It's usually every Sunday. I can withdraw the money whenever I want. The week ends on Sunday. So even if I would withdraw the money on Saturday, I am counting Sunday as the actual payday. I budgeted $500 for each of those Sundays. Even though I do expect it to be more, $500 is the lowest I usually aim to get. So that puts my income or my inflow total to $7,295.19. And that's the amount that I'm going to work with filling out this sheet. Under fixed expenses, I have Spotify, which is $16.99. I have not decided on whether I'm going to give up Spotify or not. I did lower that amount, just a few dollars, but it's lower than what I was paying last month. Then Chase credit card on the 23rd for $145. PayPal credit card on the 25th for $143. Then on November 1st, I have to pay my mortgage, $2,821.71. This will be the last month that my mortgage will be this amount. I did reach out to my mortgage company for something else, and they did tell me that the escrow analysis should be done and my mortgage payment should be lowered when it comes to December 1st. They were not able to tell me how much just yet, but I will get notified as soon as that escrow analysis is complete. But I'm just excited that my mortgage amount will go down a little bit. My HOA is $307.22. The eBay store on the 2nd, I have not decided if I'm going to cancel that yet. So I will be paying that on November 2nd for $21.95. Capital One credit card is $110. Sephora credit card is $60. Both of those paid on the 2nd as well. Then I have Comcast on the 3rd. That's my home security, $69.35. And then ComEd on the 3rd, which is my electricity, $106. That brings my fixed expenses to $3,801.22. Underneath that, I have my variable expenses. So I have groceries. Because I budgeted $800 a month for groceries, I put $400 here. Although I have been trying to get that down, I may be able to reduce that for the next time, but I just left it at $400 for right now. I have gas. I did reduce it a little bit to $200. I had $500 for the month previously, and I know that was like a buffer number because I don't think I'll ever pass 500, but I wanted to try and get a little bit more realistic, and I put it for 200 for the next 2 weeks to try and bring it down a little bit. And then I have household supplies. I put $75. I need to get some like garbage bags and laundry detergent and I think dishwashing stuff. I don't remember what else. I have a list of household like cleaning and like paper towels, toilet paper, that type of thing. I don't buy it every month, so this month I have to. So that's on there for $75. This was on my monthly budget what was Target, like my Target amount, because that's normally where I go to shop for that. I am going to shop around, look for some cheaper items. I am very specific though on one thing, like my toilet paper. I am not reducing that, sorry. I am sticking to the brand that I like. And everything else I'm willing to, go generic brands or different stores or whatnot. I put $75 for right now, and as soon as I make that purchase, I will look to see if that number is accurate or if it's too high. I do need to get an oil change on my car, so I put oil change under variable expenses for $150. That puts my variable expenses at $825. If I take my fixed expenses and my variable expenses, I am left with $2,668.97. What I am looking to do is then have an emergency fund. So I have a high yield savings account with Ally, and I'm going to put $700 in there. And then I'm going to start a bucket for personal care. This is not for nails. This is not for Botox. This is for like my shampoo, for my face cream, for body wash, those type of things that I have to buy for myself. I don't buy it every month, but I want to make sure that I'm putting money every month so that when I do need to buy it, I have the money set aside for it. So I guess that's called like my personal care sinking fund, right? If I take that $750, that leaves me with $1,918.97. My plan is to then pay off my Affirm loans, which the total is $419.38, and get those off my list, and then put $1,000 to Express, which will get me really close to paying it off. And I realize that still leaves me with like $500 left. And this is where I start to get a little like confused and I start questioning things, and that brings me to like the questions that I still have regarding this method. So at the risk of sounding dumb or just like completely out of the loop, I'm going to share like some of the questions that I'm asking myself that I'm still trying to do research on to figure out what the best way to handle some of these things are, right? But if you have a method that works for you and you want to share it, please do so in the comments, because I think that may also give me something to think about that I may not have found on my own. So my first question is, I'm assuming when I get paid on my next check, I will then go in and add in my actuals from this pay period. What do I do if there's money extra? Or what do I do if something comes up unexpected and then I'm negative? Like, where is that money coming from if I'm allocating all my dollars somewhere else? So that's why I have that extra $500. Like a few weeks ago, I had a driving ticket and I had to pay that within 10 days. I had to pay $230, and luckily I had that money in my account still, but if I didn't, where would that come from? Does that come from my emergency fund? Because in my head, I don't want to touch my emergency fund. If I'm putting money in an emergency fund, I want that money to stay there, and I don't want to take it out because something else came up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get into that habit, because then that's not really an emergency fund in my eyes. So like, do I make a sinking fund for $500 as my cushion, and then anything over $500 I allocate somewhere else? Would that work? That's kind of what I'm thinking of doing, of having that emergency fund that I'm starting with the $700 and having that build to be, I don't know, a few months of my salary, and then have my cushion sinking fund at a $500 limit for any just in case. And that might be too high. I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out there right now. This is why I have that $3,000 always sitting in my account, kind of like just rolling over every month, because I have a real fear of running out of money. I have a real fear of not having enough, and maybe that'll go away once I start having real savings account. But this is also part of the reason of how I developed this bad credit card habit. Part of it could be spending on things that I didn't need. But in the recent months, and recent, I mean like the last year, because I'm just going to clarify right now, I have not used my credit cards in this year, I want to say. I don't think I've used my credit card since like February. The only time I've used my credit card in the last few months is for travel for work, which I get reimbursed for. But in the past, especially when my ex-husband first moved out, I was very afraid of not having enough money. So even if I had the money in my checking account for like, let's say groceries, I put it on my credit card just in case, so I wouldn't run out of cash. And then instead of paying it at the end of the month, I just kept it in my account just in case. Or I would use it on something without even thinking, and then I'm like, oh crap, that was supposed to go to my credit card. So I want to break that habit. I want to get away from that fear. But until I do, I feel like I need to have that sinking fund, so at least that money is allocated somewhere. I don't know. It's a fear of mine that has held me back a lot, and I really need to get past that. That has also prevented me in the past of making extra credit card payments to actually pay off my debt. I don't know, maybe it's irrational, but it's definitely something that has kept me from making any progress. Those were the things that I'm still confused on. Like, what exactly are sinking funds, and how do I build that into my budget, but also have that cushion? And then what do I do with the actual numbers? Do I just add that up at the end of the month and just reallocate it? I don't know. I'm figuring those out, and hopefully by the next paycheck, I will have some answers. But because of this fear of running out of money that I have, I couldn't just stop at this paycheck. I had to put together my full November calendar, as well as start filling out the budget tracker for my next paycheck, because I wanted to add up at least my credit card payments and my fixed expenses to make sure that my next check would cover that, so that I can feel sure about the decision of putting money into my emergency fund and putting this 1,419 towards debt. So I have my November calendar filled out so far, and I started my November tracker so that I could look a little bit into the future and not just be like so blinded, like so I wouldn't have blinders on, focusing just on these 2 weeks. I wanted to narrow in on these 2 weeks, but also look towards the following 2 weeks so that I am prepared. I cannot handle any surprises right now. Like, I need to know what I am working on and where my money is going. So I started November's as well. Next week is the end of October. So that means I will close out my October month and set up my November, like my full November budget on the spreadsheet. And I will go over anything that is being reduced, anything that is being canceled and taken off of what I had in October. And then I will go over the few things that may have increased or that I may have forgot and I had to add it onto my sheet. Please feel free to subscribe so I can share my updates with you. And then if you have any comments, suggestions, feedback, please leave them for me. I try to read all of them, and I do try and answer as many as I can. And then if I don't answer them in the actual comment section, I do try and address it in another video. I think that's it for today. So I will see you in the next one. Bye.